The Committee of the Whole. Okay. Good morning. Welcome to Committee of the Whole. We don't do the pledge to this one, do we? Okay. Number one on the agenda is Brainerd Orderly Annexation.
Morning, James.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. So City Council directed staff to work with Crow Wing County staff to
James, could you just introduce yourself for those
yes.
who might not know?
I'm
who you
James
are?
Krombeck.
Thank you.
I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Brainerd.
I'm Nick Broyles. I'm the city administrator.
Yeah, so City Council directed staff to work with Crow Wing County staff to draft the orderly annexation that is in the packet for Riverside Drive due to the city's installation of municipal utilities along Riverside Drive in 2003. This past spring, there was a septic failure along Riverside Drive in which septic was leaching from the ground and was in need of immediate replacement. This process was more difficult because the property was not within the city limits of Brainerd. This is kind of what led to City Council's action to direct staff to work with county staff on this area. The orderly annexation agreement, which is a joint resolution, designates an area for orderly annexation, and the map is attached as Exhibit A. The agreement does not immediately annex properties into the city of Brainerd. The agreement has been reviewed by both the city and county attorneys. If agreed upon, the city would annex by resolution, subject to the agreement and based on the following criteria. First one is owner petition. Second one is city-initiated island annexation. So those are properties or pockets surrounded by municipal boundaries or a body of water, Gilbert Lake, or really the Mississippi River. And then the third one would be city-initiated properties that are currently available to hook up to municipal utilities and those that the city will provide utilities to within 2 years of annexing. So Area 1 in the map that you can see up there, which is the first picture on top, these properties are already along Riverside Drive and have the ability to hook up to utilities or our island properties. So this area would be subject to annexation by resolution if this joint resolution is passed. The bottom one, Area 2 there's one property that's just passed or just before Shady Hills Trail that's currently hooked up to municipal utilities. This one would also be available to annexed by City Council resolution immediately if that joint resolution is passed. All of area number 2, which is the bottom picture, would not be subject based on the agreement. So municipal utilities, again, have to be provided within 2 years to it. Right now, the municipal utilities run partially down Ashman Road in order to feed Old Stonebridge Trail. In order to annex most of this area, Shady Hills Trail along with Ashman Road, the city would have to plan for utilities down there. So again, city and county staff have worked together to create a proposed annexation area map based on the following reasons. So the first one is available utilities along Riverside Drive, as I mentioned, just past Ashman Road and then partially down Ashman Road. So this area is or already set to become urban in nature. Also environmental considerations. Most of the properties in this OAA is in the Shoreland District. If municipal utilities are present, hooking up to those is certainly better for the environment. Property owners are currently required every 3 years to certify their septic, but many times that often lapses until a permit's pulled or they're selling their home. So certainly, I've been in the industry before. At times, people don't recertify for many years unless one of those parts triggered. Properties would not be required to hook up as long as their septic is certified and inspected every 3 years. If a septic fails and utilities are present, the property owner would be required to hook up to utilities. And then also with consideration is consolidation of maintenance, as the city already maintains Ashman Road doing the plowing and patching, not the capital projects. Highview Circle, Russell Road, Old Stonebridge, and Island Drive are already city streets. The county would be responsible for capital projects along Ashman Road and Shady Hills Trail until annexed. If annexed, the city would be responsible for Carr Drive and River Arches. Again, these would be island areas the county currently maintains, but if annexed, the city would take that over. And then again, sewer and water would be needed to be provided for Ashman Road within 2 years in order to annex those areas. So with that, I can answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
James, when you say the county, you don't mean the county, you mean unorganized territory as the county board, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, okay. That's the only question I have. I don't see any issue with this.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have one. James, you mentioned that on your on-sites that you have do you have an ordinance that says they have to be inspected every 3 years? Is that in the jurisdiction of City of Brainerd then?
So I believe that's also most likely a county requirement.
Yeah, I didn't
but
know
it's
that, if it
also-
is.
It's also a City of Brainerd requirement in our code.
I didn't know if that was a county requirement.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Lubke, that's not a county requirement.
That was my question when you brought it up. I didn't know the county had that, and it doesn't.
I believe what Mr. Kramvik is referring to is the fact that if and correct me if I'm wrong, but if municipal services are available and a person chooses not to hook up to those municipal services, because they have a compliant septic system, they have to recertify that with the city every 3 years.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay,
that's-
so it's
that's
not
why-
a county
that's
or a
why-
FAD requirement.
Right.
That is saying if they have a private system, when municipal services are available, they're not required to hook up to those municipal services as long as they are recertifying that every 3
Okay,
years.
okay,
And it's
that-
still compliant.
Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up.
Chair, couple questions. So Area 1, is this, you guys already have some of this annexed already, correct?
That's correct. So everything that's in the red would be proposed for annexation, and then all the area that is kind of pictured in that yellow color, really surrounding all of that area in red is currently part of the municipal boundary for the city of Brainerd.
Okay, so this, like, 520, 526 that are kind of breaking up Area 1, those are already part of the city of Brainerd?
That's correct. It kind of goes in and out of this area.
Okay. Okay, so then I guess my last question would be for Administrator Erickson. What would be our role and our responsibility as far as the town board for this?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Lee, so from the county's perspective, or if we talk about it as the unorganized territory town board, if you will, the county itself has no play in this. This is between the township of unorganized and the city of Brainerd. A municipality has the authorization to annex as under statute. There are several different ways that this can go about. One of them is an orderly annexation process, which is what the city is proposing at this time, where essentially the county board, acting as the township board, would adopt a resolution, this resolution that's been put before you, agreeing with the orderly annexation practice. If, for whatever reason, the county board chose not to move forward with the orderly annexation process, the city can still annex the property. It just becomes basically, I think they call it a contested annexation at that point in time. There's a legal process that the city has to go through. It takes a little bit longer time. There's more municipal boundary office players that are at play. The outcome, honestly, in this circumstance is probably going to be the same. It's just depending on what the process ends up being. The county really can't say, we don't want it to be annexed, because the municipality, particularly in this situation, where there are islands and there are municipal services that are already being provided here, the Municipal Boundary Adjustment Office is going to say this is more urban in nature than rural, which is what the determination factor is when they're looking at should it be annexed or not. So the county's role is to agree to the orderly annexation or make the city go through the other processes that are allowed.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And I would just like the people in the audience to know that the city has not approached the county board until today. We haven't been cooperating or having meetings about this.
That is correct. The staff have had meetings. We've had meetings with staff to bring this forward at this point in time, now that the city is approaching the county board to consider this.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
just another question I thought of is, James, I think I know the answer to this already, but if some of this area is currently being served by Crowing Power would be turning that over to Brainerd Public Utilities, correct?
I would have to do some research on that. I know a lot of this property is served by Brainerd Public Utilities, River Arches, Car Drive, so I can certainly do some research into that. Today is certainly a time to ask questions, and I can bring back any questions that I cannot answer. City Council will be reviewing this tonight and voting on the joint resolution, and this would be potentially then back before the county board on the 24th for a final vote, and I can certainly get that answer for you.
I know that in the past, you have, for example, up by Menards there, you have annexed some property there, and then Commissioner Lubke and I are both on Crowing Power's Board of Directors, and I believe we turned it, the Brainerd Public Utilities had to pay Crowing Power, but all that area was turned over to Brainerd Public Utilities, so I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen if there's any area that's being served by Crowing Power. It was kind of a curiosity question.
Yep, and I believe that was the case in that Menards area.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, and just so that it's clear, and maybe just for clarification for all of you, the process, if this were to move forward, as Mr. Kranvik stated, the City Council would take the first action to approve the joint resolution. If they approve it, then it's going to come to the county asking for you all to consider approving that. If it is approved, there's a multi-step process that's still happening here, and that kind of is looking at these different phases. It basically says that these parcels that are identified would be eligible then to be annexed by the city. And again, please correct me if I'm not stating facts correctly.
That's correct.
It wouldn't automatically mean everything in red would automatically be annexed into the city. You're still planning to do that in a phased approach as well.
That's correct.
So either a property owner that is currently listed in red on the map could petition to the city to say, I want to be part of the city, I want to be annexed. They could be annexed. There may be pieces that the city does take action to annex, those areas that we talked about that are surrounded by the island side of things, or if those services, if those parcels need to be annexed to extend services of what is there. That's some of what you're seeing in that first phase. That first map would be that first area that would potentially be annexed. Even if they're annexed, they don't automatically have to hook up to municipal services if they are offered.
That's correct. So as long as they recertify their septic and inspect it every 3 years, they would not have to connect to municipal services until that septic fails.
The second phase of this map, the Ashman Road area, if the city annexes that portion, they would have to agree to extend services within 2 years to that area, but that same process would still be in play.
That's correct.
Dang, I'm on a roll today. Okay, I feel good then. Making
Madam
sure I'm
Chair.
tracking with it so I can help you all make sure you're tracking with it.
Madam Chair, one more question. Are you providing any services now to anybody in that area that is not City of Brainerd? Is there any unorganized properties that you're providing a sewer service or water service to that isn't?
No, there's a property on Highview Circle that is a city street, so certainly that road is being improved and maintained by the city. And then there's joint maintenance agreements that we have with the county to maintain certain roads. So Ashman right now, to my understanding, we're doing the plowing and the patching on that road. And the county still, or the first assessment district still responsible for road improvements.
But you don't have any properties that you're providing a sewer or water to that are in unorganized territory? They're all, if they get your enterprise zone or your sewer and water zone, they actually are part of Brainerd?
Yeah, except for there is a property that was allowed to pay 200% until they annexed. There's a property that I mentioned that is on that bottom map there along Riverside Drive that is currently connected to municipal utilities. So that property would be subject to potential immediate annexation as they are already hooked up.
Okay. That was the only question I had.
But that was the only property, to my understanding, that's currently connected that's still within the county.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Paul?
Madam Chair, so James, just a kind of a curiosity question. So what does the process look like? I mean, when serving on the county board, I'm assuming the city council is the same way. You always want to hear from the public. Is there going to be a public hearing that shows this map so that the people that are in this area can come and weigh in to the city council? I would assume so, correct?
Yeah, so that'll be tonight. It's not statutorily required as part of the
Okay.
orderly annexation process, but City Council did elect to hold a public hearing, as recommended by staff as well as the county staff, to hear from the public on it. So the county board can certainly review that. You guys can provide a link for them to listen in on testimony from residents in this area. So again, we were statutorily required to post this in the paper designating a potential orderly annexation area. However, City Council elected to hold the public hearing, and then we did also mail out to every property owner so they're aware as well.
What happens if the county contests this?
City Council would have to direct staff whether or not we want to continue to pursue it or pursue another route for this area. So City Council has not spoken on what would happen in the event that the county or First Assessment District contests it.
Madam Chair, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead,
So are
Commissioner.
we looking for consensus today?
Madam
What are
Chair,
we
there is
looking for?
nothing that is needed from the county board today. This is simply informational. This is letting you know that the city council will be having a public hearing this evening, as Mr. Kramvik mentioned, that they will be taking public testimony, and they will be making a decision tonight whether to move forward with that joint resolution. If the city council approves the joint resolution this evening, it will then come back to you at your table for consideration to approve that resolution. If they don't approve it tonight, it's not coming before you again until after the city council has taken some action to move it forward.
Well, this is just a comment. I would have appreciated a copy of the letter that you sent out to everybody. The minute that letter hit their doorsteps, I started getting calls and I didn't know what was going on.
Yep, and I can provide that if it's not in the packet here.
It is in the packet now. She just would have liked a little
I
bit
would
of
have liked
advance
to have
notice
known
as to
it
when it was
before
going
this
out.
morning.
Okay.
Yeah. Madam Chair, and if I may ask one more question of the city folks, is there do you have, if a property is annexed but services are not yet provided, is there a subordinate service district type of tax district for that area different from what the city's taxing regular tax district is?
There is not. City Council did elect to remove the rural service district this past spring here.
Okay.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions? Okay, would you come up to the mic and state your name?
My name's Tom Carson, and I live on River Arches Road. My question is who does this certifying of the sewer, the septic systems? Is that the responsibility of the city, the county, or private contractors? Thank you.
Would you answer?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So my understanding is the county provides a list of certified inspectors, and then it's up to the property owner to essentially hire somebody to do that, and then they send in their paperwork that they've done with that inspection process to say that that septic system is certified.
Anyone else? Please come up to the microphone.
My name is Richard Schmidt, and I'm a resident of the River Arches Car Drive area, the little island there. And I'm here to oppose the proposed annexation of our properties into the city, just due to some unique characteristics of that area. Annexation is not just a boundary change. It is a permanent shift in governance, taxation, infrastructure, and community identity. Under Minnesota law, annexation must serve the best interest of the affected area and demonstrate that municipal governance is necessary to protect the public health, safety, and welfare. That burden has not been met. First, this proposal would increase property taxes without clear justification. Annexation typically results in higher municipal tax rates. Yet no comprehensive fiscal impact study has been shared publicly showing how increased taxes would provide proportional benefit to our residents. Transparency is essential when asking property owners to assume long-term financial obligations. Second, the justification of improved services does not hold up under scrutiny. Our current township-level services are adequate. In fact, the city has previously declined snow removal services for Carr Drive and River Arches due to the incline of the road to access that area. Residents have adapted responsibly by funding private snow removal services that not only clear roads but also help seniors and disabled residents with driveways and walkway clearing. Under city control, those additional services would disappear and require further out-of-pocket expenses for the residents. There's been no demonstration that annexation would meaningfully improve service quality. Third, annexation would alter the character of our neighborhood. River Arches is known for its dense vegetation, tree canopy, and wildlife habitat. Residents choose this area for its natural environment and privacy. Road expansion and infrastructure upgrades could require clear cutting of trees, increasing exposure to Riverside Drive to traffic noise. That would permanently change our quality of life and potentially decrease property values. The statute requires consideration of the area's character. Our neighborhood remains rural and wooded, not urban in character, nor in need of city-level intervention for safety or welfare. Finally, major governance changes should not proceed without clear public support. To date, residents have not been presented with comprehensive financial modeling, infrastructure plans, or long-term tax projections. Annexation should not move forward without transparency and meaningful resident consent. Annexation under Statute 414.0325 is not automatic. It must serve the best interest of the affected area. At this time, that has not been demonstrated. For these reasons, I respectfully ask that this annexation proposal be denied or, at a minimum, delayed until full fiscal analysis and documentation and documented majority support are provided. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, but I would hope you're going to the meeting tonight at 7:30 at the Brainerd City Hall and presenting that, because that's where the decision will be made.
Yes, we will be there. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes?
Deb, can you just explain this a little more, or maybe James can, that the county board or the town board of the unorganized territory, we could object to this, all 5 of us could object to it, but there's no other way that we can stop it. If a whole bunch of people said, hey, we want you to try to stop this, is that correct?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Coring, that's basically correct. It would just change the type of process the city would have to go through for annexation. There are 3 ways under statute property can be annexed. One is through this orderly annexation. One is through petition by the property owners directly. So if the property owners wanted to be annexed but the city wasn't planning to annex, the property owners could petition to the Municipal Boundary Adjustment Board to be annexed. The third is the contested case process, which the city would initiate. The county doesn't really have a say-so in that regard. The court, if you will, at that point, would make the determination.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
My name's Rachel Kahn, and I live on Riverside Drive. I wanted to thank Richard for giving giving his talk. But I guess the question that needed to be asked, which he pointed out that we didn't really get an answer to, that I'd like to get an answer to since we're offered questions. So thank you for that. Can the city explain how this benefits property owners? That's my question.
Please answer.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So certainly, being that this area is probably about 90% shoreline district, there certainly is a higher standard then for the environment being hooked up to municipal utilities rather than septic systems. Oftentimes aren't inspected every 3 years, so we do run into those issues like we did this past spring. And then, well, this is an area that's kind of on the outside of the city. In that first area map, it does kind of jut in and out of municipal boundaries between City of Brainerd and Crow Wing County. There is a benefit being next to the city. Certainly the city pays for emergency services that we have joint agreements with. You're near parks and then other city bike trails and such that are able to be utilized. So, you know, a little bit different in this area than if somebody were to live 10 or 15 minutes north in First Assessment. There certainly is a benefit to living next to the city here.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please come up to the microphone.
My name is Rockford de Villiers. I live on River Arches. In the beginning, I keep hearing this theme about septic, that this whole course of action is about on-site sewer systems. Is that true? Is that what's leading this? Would be my question.
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So that's part of it, and then certainly these island areas that for Ashman per se, we're already maintaining these areas. There's other roads in this area that are city roads that we're maintaining. So again, kind of municipal boundary consistency as well.
It seems to me that this is somewhat an overlaid protection for the city, because the EPA protects you. If someone doesn't do their septic duty and they fail, they automatically end up in this position. Automatically. And the EPA makes you whole. The state makes you whole. So why is it that this is all underneath the cloak of sewer, that this is all to help everybody out? How does this help everybody? If you're not doing the right thing, yeah, then go pay the tax for it. But those that are doing the right thing and maintaining and aren't getting services at all, not even snow removal, I mean, we should be completely overlooked in this situation, in my opinion. I don't see the justification using septic as a scapegoat, in my opinion. So, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Okay. Any other questions from the board? Well, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is Crow Wing County emergency sirens.
Boy, you know how to clear a room.
Madam Chair, members of the board,
Good morning.
Clayton Barr, Crow Wing County Emergency Management Director. Wanted to say thank you for taking the opportunity to talk to me this morning regarding the county's emergency sirens. This morning I'm looking at kind of giving you an update of what our emergency sirens currently consist of, kind of seeking guidance from the board on what the next steps you'd like me to proceed with, and then again, wanting to inform the board, so as I'm working with the community, you have a heads up, rather than your constituents calling you, wondering what emergency management is doing out, asking about sirens. So this gives me an opportunity to brief everyone on kind of what our current situation is, and status is with our sirens. And as I work with the community, and those members of the community, if they reach out to you, you're well informed as far as what's going on. So currently, as Crow Wing County's Emergency Management Director, I've been with the county now for going a little over 2 years. Part of that is the maintenance of our siren system. The county is responsible for the infrastructure which sets the sirens off, so within our dispatch center, and we have infrastructure at several tower sites located throughout the county. The individual municipalities or townships, they're responsible if they so choose, and again, warning sirens are not a requirement, but again, based off the needs of the community, is to install the siren and then maintain those sirens. There has to be a good bond or communication and link between both the sheriff's office and emergency, our dispatch center, and the individuals who are responsible for, again, installing and maintaining those sirens. The first Wednesday of the month, we again test our emergency sirens. Some cities will, again, like in the case of Baxter, they have individuals for their public works who are assigned to each individual siren and say, okay, whether or not that siren is going off. A lot of times, we'll have deputies who say, hey, or the city or a police officer in that city, hey, is your siren going off? What we don't know is if those cities have multiple sirens, whether or not those, all the sirens are going off or just one siren is going off. So the way our current system is scaled is once that message or that radio transmission is pushed out to the sirens, we here in dispatch, we don't know if they're going off or not. There are other options that are out there as far as a two-way cellular capability. There are federal grants that are out there that would potentially pay for that upgrade. Initial cost estimates that I've looked at are close to around $750,000 to $800,000. It's a state grant, so the entire state has to put in for that grant in order to be able to put that grant in. I've expressed the need or the desire for, again, the state to do that. I expressed for it last year, and I also expressed to have the state do that again this year. Whether or not that occurs, we'll wait to see. It may not, again, occur until next year's cycle as well. But at some point, we have to start someplace. For me to really have an understanding as far as what currently is out there with our sirens is to have a good readout as far as what maintenance is being currently done in the infrastructure at each of these siren sites. Currently, I have a kind of a rough guide as far as working with the siren distributors as far as what infrastructure was sold to those individual locations. And I do have some information as far as some of the maintenance that has been done on some of those sirens. There are, unfortunately, a lot of sirens out there that aren't being maintained to the standard that they probably should. Some are installed and some are the batteries are replaced on periodically based off a maintenance schedule, but when it comes to the rotary motors and some of the equipment that's up on top of the tower, a lot of times those aren't being maintained like they should. Case in point, we had a siren in Ideal Township that, again, was having troubles up there, and a fuse would get blown, and they would fix the fuse or have somebody come out and fix the fuse, but then the next time we set the sirens off, it still doesn't work. So a different company came out and they looked at it, and the rotary motor was severely beyond, I don't know if they repaired it or the state of it was basically essentially the cause of the fuse being blown. So what I'd like to do as far as going forward is to have some type of proposal as far as a unified maintenance program throughout the county. The county would essentially be the holder of that contract and then bill out the individual municipalities based off of what the quantity of sirens that they have. We have a large variance of sirens that are currently out there. We have some sirens that have been recently installed and some that are going to be going in. There's a new Baxter plans on putting another siren in here, I believe, this year. And then we have sirens up in Cuyuna and up in Trumbull, which are many, many years old, decades old, that have received very little or no maintenance at all. And so having a better understanding of what currently out there, and some of these older sirens, there are grant opportunities available, some through Sourcewell or other areas as well, that'll pay for the entire replacement of the siren, or there's cost share programs as well. So working with, once identifying the current state of our the sirens that are throughout the county, then working with these individual municipalities or townships as far as, okay, what can we do to assist you in finding grants out there to upgrade those? So coming in front of the board today is, I've had some documentation that I had provided on there. Again, this is simply a draft proposal, trying to get guidance from the board on how you'd like me to proceed. What I'd like to do is, again, have a kind of a unified preventative maintenance program for all of our emergency sirens, that having doing an RFP, so a request for proposal, working with the cities that are currently out there that have individuals who maintain their sirens, to provide them an opportunity for those contractors to be able to provide their information as far as for the request for proposal, outlining a list of our requirements through the county that need to be included in that maintenance schedule, and then having a memorandum of understanding between the county and those municipalities or townships, saying that the county is going to hold that main contract, and then based off of the amount of sirens that we have, part of that contract will bring that rate down. Currently, I know some cities have contracts that it's roughly $750 per siren. As far as a maintenance, if we can get a larger quantity brought on board, we can maybe bring that cost down to maybe mid to $550, $575, or $600. So bringing that total cost down. The benefits of that is, from the emergency management and also from our dispatch center, is now we know that there's a preventative maintenance schedule, and that a better understanding of what has been maintained on those sirens. Undoubtedly, when the sirens don't go off, they call dispatch and wonder why they don't go off. So we, again, once we send that page out, if we don't know that siren is being maintained, again, there's going to be that disconnect between our dispatch center and then with the actual sirens that are out there being maintained. If we have somebody that actually is out there that the county's working with, one point of contact, then we can work with that specific siren maintenance provider and say, okay, these are our challengers that we have out there, and what do we need to get them fixed? Also on here, the paper provided is a complete list of sirens that we have throughout the county. We have roughly 52 sirens. There's 53 on the list. The siren that is in Trumbull is more of a kind of a bullhorn on a building, not necessarily a warning siren. So I didn't list that in as far as our as 53 on there. We have other ones that will be going in as well. Again, some of the challenges that I've experienced in the past couple of years is a lot of these sirens aren't being maintained, and working with who's actually going to be the one responsible for it, and then, again, finding the money to repair or maintain those sirens. Looking from the board is kind of request authorization from the county board to move forward with establishing a request for proposal, outlining the project scope, objectives, requirements, and expected deliveries as far as what that maintenance schedule should look like. And I provided some of the information, some of the highlights as one of the attachments on here as well, as far as the details of service. There's additional areas that I think that we'd want to add to that as well. And then once complete, to report back to the county board with those RFPs that meet those requirements, and determine the next course of action in establishing a master contract which coordinates a preventive maintenance schedule for all the sirens located throughout the county. I'm open to any questions.
Madam Chair, a couple of
Madam
questions.
Chair.
First of all, you're alluding to the fact that a lot of this equipment is aged.
Yes, sir.
What's the life expectancy of one of these sirens in total? I mean, you talk about repairs and that, but what is the life expectancy of that piece of equipment?
I would have to talk with the actual manufacturer of those equipment, but I know some of the sirens are 25 to 30 years old. Again, a lot of it depends on the preventative maintenance like having a vehicle, if you never changed the oil in it, then the life expectancy of your motor is going to go really down. But if you change the oil regularly and you do those preventative maintenance, then your vehicle is going to last a lot longer, and the sirens are essentially around that same idea.
So then to follow up on that, because your memorandum of understandings are about maintenance and repair, what about replacement, if you had to replace one?
Yes, sir. As I mentioned, there are grants available out there. So there are some of the sirens on the list here that will undoubtedly require replacement. And working with Sourcewell and other grant options out there and some of these grants options are a full replacement cost, and others are a cost share, so a 50% cost share. So working with the individual cities and the townships to see what their budgets are, and then working out what grant opportunities are out there to meet their financial limitations.
And my last question is, what if a municipality doesn't want to participate in an MOU? What's our leverage? Because you're talking about scale, bringing the cost down.
Correct.
The assumption is then that, let's just say it's 100% of them will sign off on this. What if several of them don't? What's our leverage?
I think the real leverage is going to be from the community themselves to know that the sirens are being maintained and their constituents within their area, providing that leverage or that pressure to ensure that their siren systems are being maintained. If you look at the list of sirens, our main locations that have essentially more than 50% of our sirens include Baxter, Cross Lake, and Brainerd. And just my initial conversations, again, nothing official, but just initial conversations, is those would be likely on board with pursuing some type of contract. Again, there's going to be additional conversations that would need to take place, exactly what that would cost. Is it an annual maintenance, or is it we're looking at doing it every 2 years, and then what that budget looks like? But I didn't want to get into too much of the conversations working with the different cities until I briefed the board as far as what kind of the direction I'd like to go with it before reaching out to those individuals and then having that more of a candid conversation with them.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair. You have a question first, Madam Chair.
I do have a question. There's nothing listed for unorganized territory, and I know we have discussed this in past more than one time. Are there any plans on ever putting any sirens in unorganized territory?
Again, so the requirement, there is no requirement to have warning sirens, so that the community that is deeming that there is a need, then they can, again, work with myself and Crow Wing County Emergency Management to provide, again, to see what grant opportunities might be out there for them to be able to put that siren in. So if there's a need identified by the community, I am here to work with those communities to try to find grant opportunities to be able to implement those, that siren for
Well, I guess
their requirements.
I'd let you decide if there's a need in unorganized, because people have asked for them.
Madam Chair. One thing is really as a county, we aren't responsible to have sirens out there, correct?
Correct.
They didn't get out there because we said we wanted them as a county.
That's
It was
correct.
because the jurisdictions actually asked for them, or a group of jurisdictions.
Yes, sir.
And I'll go to the one that kind of precipitated my getting involved in it, was the fact that there's one up there on 16, on county right-of-way, that was put in, I think, 2010, if I'm remembering right, if it goes back. Well, it wasn't working. It hadn't worked, and nobody really noticed it, and all of a sudden we look around and say, well, whose is it? Who's responsible? Who pays for power? Who does this? And we realized that it actually covered 3 communities. It covered City of Jenkins, it covered Jenkins Township, and it covered the north side of Pequot Lakes. And so in working together with those jurisdictions, and you were involved in that, and I really appreciate it, it came up and it needed to be worked on. The bill went to Pequot because that's where it went. And then the other 2 jurisdictions picked up a third of each of that. And it got fixed, and it works fine. I can hear it on Wednesdays if I'm outside, so I want to appreciate you overseeing it. But as far as it being a county, the county, other than the overall management of it, really doesn't have anything involved in it except just making sure they're all working.
Correct.
Because
Yes, sir.
you are the ones that actually turn it on. nobody in a city or anything else can turn it on. It's done at dispatch or whenever that need arises to turn them on, except for the Wednesdays.
Correct. The Argo Dispatch Center, again, has the ability to initiate all the sirens. Some of the newer sirens, like they're being implemented up in Cross Lake, do have that capability where the fire chief could activate those sirens. That is a capability that some of the newer sirens do have. But as you mentioned, sir, it's, again, the responsibility of the sheriff's office to set those off countywide.
And it'd be nice if they worked, if you were pushing the button to set them off.
Correct. And then knowing what is actually programmed into each of those sirens as well, because that's another aspect of it, is not just the functionality of it, but what is whoever put those sirens in 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what frequency did they program to ensure that they got off? Has it been tuned that they're receiving the frequency properly? So ensuring that all those areas are being covered, and again, a peace of mind for the community that where those sirens are located, that they are being maintained in an orderly fashion.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes?
Yeah, Clayton, I want to give you a huge pat on the back. I think you're doing an excellent job, and the Sheriff's Department, for, I believe, being proactive. God forbid if we ever had, I think I just talked to a friend of mine a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about when they had the F5 tornado go through Wadena. God forbid we ever had that happen. I think that you and the Sheriff's Department are trying to be proactive of making sure that all these sirens are working. When you want them to go off, they go off. Because if something bad happens, and I hope it never does, but if something bad happens, there's going to be a lot of finger pointing and people saying, well, why weren't you on top of this? This goes to show that, Commissioner Lubke said this isn't our responsibility. Well, I think the emergency management director is responsible for the whole county. So I believe this is our responsibility to make sure that these sirens are going to go off, make sure they're running properly. I think that's why people have elected the sheriff, elected the county board, to make sure that their safety is paramount on our mind. So I just want to say thanks, Clayton. You're doing an excellent job.
Thank you, sir.
One to go, Madam Chair. A couple questions for you. First of all, you said we have 52 currently. Do we know how many are not working?
We have one that I'm aware of that isn't currently working, and that's the one off of Twin Lake Road. That has been down for a while. We're working with one of the providers to get that fixed, and it's on their maintenance schedule, so hopefully here within the next 4 weeks, they'll be up to repair that. Some of the challenge that I run into as far as emergency management director is we'll have cities and townships asking me, well, who should I use to get these fixed? Well, I'm not in a position to recommend any specific, company, and that's why if we can have one that's been vetted, everyone that is currently in the process of, again, providing some type of maintenance has the opportunity to buy in on an RFP, and then one is selected, then in the future, when somebody says, well, who should I use? I can say, well, this is the person that we recommend based off of what the county has decided, and not from, me personally as far as emergency management director.
Okay. So then it kind of leads into my next question is, basically roughly right now it's approximately $750 to have one of these inspected, depending on which contractor you go to. The RFP, if we put the RFP out with 52 of these sirens annually inspected, the goal would be to bring that number down for all those municipalities as well, correct?
Correct. Currently, I know some of the smaller ones, again, this is just off of one provider. I won't say what provider this is, but it's roughly $750 for the few that they have. If there's more than 45 sites, then that would bring, if there's 45 or more sites of the 52, then that would bring it down to under $600. If there's only maybe 25 sites, so then maybe that would be just over $600. Again, it would all depend on how many municipalities and townships opted in to have this MOU with the county to be able to provide this. Again, my initial conversations with those that are out there, basically taking that off their plate. They've been very receptive of it, so. And again, I didn't want to get too far into the weeds as far as working with the different ones until getting approval from the board to move forward.
I guess in the last thing, I'll just make a comment that I agree that this is of utmost importance for our county. We haven't had a Wadena tornado yet, but it's a matter of time for us, because if you look at how many times our county has been hit by tornadoes in the last 10 years, we're kind of in a vortex, Bermuda Triangle, whatever you want to say, but this is an important issue for us, so.
No, that was one of the things, Commissioner, that I noticed working with the National Weather Service. And again, the Crow Wing County is probably has one of the highest tornadic activities in the state. Did not know that taking this position.
We've talked about that, haven't we?
Madam Chair, I do have one follow-up question. I don't think it's fair or equitable to have Emily pay the same price for that maintenance contract that Baxter does or Brainerd does, based on population. Are you looking at somehow scaling that so that the smaller communities, for them to, if you take 550,000 and you got 52, it's $10,000 a head, or per siren. When you look at that, Emily would have a harder time paying that than Brainerd or Baxter, for example. So would you scale that cost somehow to recognize that they don't have the same ability to pay that other municipalities do?
I think, Commissioner, looking at it as, like Emily has one siren, and then, with Baxter having, if they install the one this year, they'll have 11. So I don't know if that would be considered as far as scaling, just because they only have one siren. I can look into further
I guess,
possible
Clayton,
options.
what I would say is, it's not fair to say that Baxter pays $10,000 and Emily pays $10,000. Maybe it's on per siren.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep, it's a
Prorated.
prorated per siren.
Okay.
Correct. Yep, it's not, okay, we've got 10 municipalities and townships, and the total bill is this, and then we divide it 10 ways. But since Emily only has one siren, they're only paying, if it's $600, they're paying $600, versus if Baxter has 10, then they're paying close to $6,000.
Okay.
Because they have 10.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Clayton, there's one siren on here in Morrison County?
Correct. So we have the ability to set up one siren that's close to the line. They're responsible for that in
Sullivan
Morrison
Lake.
County. And that,
Their cost would be $550,000.
correct.
Good to go.
Right.
Any other questions?
So does Clayton have the okay from all of you to continue moving forward with this and to approach the cities with information once he's got that to work with?
Yes.
I think this is an
Absolutely. I
excellent
think
idea. I'm on board.
To Paul's remarks earlier, the safety of our residents is paramount. It's important. And
Yes.
this is just one aspect of it. The sheriff's department does other pieces of it. So I think this is an important part of our public safety.
I agree.
Thank you, Clayton, for doing that and bringing it up.
Thank you.
Much.
Thank you.
Is there any other business?
Madam Chair, I have one thing. As we all know, this is Black History Month. Jesse Jackson passed away today at 84 years old, so just wanted to recognize that. He's been a great proponent of civil rights, and I think we should all appreciate that. And I have nothing else.
All right. Well, meeting is adjourned at 9:54.